Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Business Every Day. I am super excited to announce that I have fulfilled my very first bulk order on the X-Carve CNC machine. The item that you see right here to my right is what I have created. It is a vinyl record that I have cut out into a particular design. The story is, a friend of mine works for the Belmont University store, and we were talking about all the different kinds of projects that I was doing, and the idea came up of putting the Belmont University logo on a record. If you don't know anything about Belmont University, they are a predominantly music school in Nashville, Tennessee, where many artists have come through, gotten their training, and gone on to do wonderful and awesome things. And so, being a music school, vinyl records are very much part of the history and the past of the university, with platinum records and gold records and all this sort of things coming out of the artists that have gone to that school. And so putting their logo on a record seemed very fitting. So what I did was I went to my machine and I prototyped 5 or 6 different designs, took it to the store and got approval for the licensing of their logo and design, put it on a record, showed it to them. They were super thrilled. I was commissioned to create about 25 units for them so they could purchase at wholesale and then sell at retail in their store. We had many conversations back and forth of what they were looking for, the design that they actually liked, the ones that I came up with, and this is what we came up with. It is one of the primary logos that they use at the university. I started the manufacturing process to come up with this art piece. This was a wonderful exercise to actually refine and figure out my manufacturing process, because we used our own custom labeling, so I had to figure out how to incorporate that into the record piece itself. I had to figure out all of my bit sets, the cut settings, how I was actually going to cut out this item without having too many errors show up. Like I said, I produced them about 25 units, and I ended up cutting about 40 units. Each one takes about 20 to 30 minutes to cut. And I had found that after I got about 5 or 6 in, that 1 in 3 were coming out wrong. And so around the lettering, around the very small details of this particular design, I could get 25, sometimes 28 minutes into the design, and then the bit would snag or hang on to a piece of the vinyl and shatter the whole thing, and then I would be left with nothing that was salvageable. So I had to figure all that out with many messed up pieces, and it was a nightmare, but it was a wonderful exercise. One of the other things that I also had to do was find somebody that could supply me with bulk amount of records. If you just go to eBay or something like that, most of the time you're going to find a record between $3 and $5 a piece, which was going to be way out of my wholesale price range. And so I found actually a company out in California that was able to ship me a bunch of records, and it was a wonderful thing. I learned a lot about communicating with vendors and how to get what I needed in regards to my stock product. This journey was not without pain and suffering. I was expecting it to take me between 15 and 20 hours. It took me almost 50 hours to complete. And so the lesson that I gotta tell you is that as you are learning your machine, as you are learning your process, it's gonna take extra time. And you're just going to have to account for that. I did leave myself enough margin where I still made money if I was accounting for how much I was paying myself per hour. I gave myself a decent enough margin to where it was worth my time, especially because of the learning process. I also had to develop a website and then a POS system and then like the accounting, and I became an official corporation, and oh my goodness, there was a lot involved in just getting this one project done. I was able to hire someone to help me, so that felt really amazing to be able to not only make some money, but also share that with someone else, include them in my process, and even that being a learning experience, as well as just the patience and the diligence that it takes to have a successful manufacturing company. Here is the record. One of the things that I found is that the material of vinyl used from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, everything was completely different. Every album is different. And so I had to find records that didn't completely shatter, that weren't too soft, that weren't too hard, and that was a process in of itself. Here is my setup. So I used a piece of 1/2" MDF, and then I ended up using tape as my hold downs. And so I had my center marker to where I could put the record on like that, and then I used a piece of tape on the top, bottom, left, and right, because I found that that actually gave it the best hold instead of using clamps or something like that. I ended up using a single flute end mill bit. I found that that was the best option for me in regards to removing material without melting the vinyl, because I had problems with using a regular end mill bit, and it would actually bunch up because it was melting the vinyl instead of cutting the vinyl. As I mentioned before, these are all my waste items. So much time. As you can see, oh, yep, there was a piece that shattered. Let's check out this one. Oh, yeah, the letters didn't come out good on this one. There's another piece up top that shattered. Let's look at this one. So here's our custom stickers, but if you can tell, the sticker began to delaminate, and so I actually had to then add the stickers post-cut, and yeah, cutting this with a razor blade actually took up about 20 to 30 minutes again per record, so that was a pill in of itself, but we got it. It's pretty cool, if I do say so myself. It's one of those artistic projects that I never thought I would get into, but they wanted it. I was able to produce it. It was fun and a lot of work, but hopefully this relationship will continue and we are able to do many more cool things in the future. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm super excited to hear about some of the projects that you guys have created, that you've sold. If you haven't sold anything yet with your CNC machine, like I said, this is my first bulk project that I've sold, and I am about 5, almost 6 months into this thing, and I didn't think this was going to happen for another few months. But talk about what you're doing. Tell your friends, tell your family. Maybe they know somebody who wants a project done. Be okay with experimenting and try it. I mean, you might not be able to get it first time. I didn't know if I was going to be able to actually close on this job at all, but I was able to. I produced something that I thought was actually kind of cool, and hopefully that relationship will continue, and maybe they'll order more in the future. So stay tuned for the next episode. Keep carving, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.